Hey, I've got some information on dissent in the ranks, but I also have some encouraging stuff to show you too. So stay with me, folks, and I'll be with you in a minute. Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthification Chronicles, and wow, there's just been so much today. I honestly am having a hard time keeping up with everything that's coming out. So hopefully I'll cover some things that you haven't seen in the other news that you've been watching, but I try to give you something that's a little different than what you can find, like on Fox News and stuff like that. So this one right here is from The Hill, and it's about Murkowski and Mattis because they both came out and they were criticizing Trump about possibly or even entertaining the thought of deploying the military to help with the riots and everything, which again we've talked about in previous video, and he does have the right to do that under the Insurrection Act of 1807. So this article right here, it's just, saying Mattis has spoken out and Lisa Murkowski, which, but, she thought that his words were true and honest and necessary and overdue. Yeah, that President Trump has a lack of mature leadership. This is just crazy. I mean, this is what they're saying. And then because Murkowski was making such a thing about it, and just as a reminder, remember that picture of Lisa Murkowski and Dianne Feinstein during the Kavanaugh hearings? Just going to put that in there so you can remember it. And so Trump has vowed to campaign against Murkowski. You got to see this, though, folks. So here's the tweet where he said, "Few people know where they'll be in 2 years from now, but I do, in the great state of Alaska, which I love, campaigning against Senator Lisa Murkowski. She voted against health care, Justice Kavanaugh, and much else." And then he had another tweet that was in response to that. "I gave Alaska ANWR, major highways, and more. Get any candidate ready, good or bad. I don't care. I'm endorsing. If you have a pulse, I'm with you." Oh, I love our POTUS. That was so great. Oh, that was too funny. I had to laugh at it. And of course, the mainstream media is going all crazy because then John Kelly has to add his voice in and everything. And they're all like, "Oh, you don't want to bring in the military. No, 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 no." Well, things are getting kind of bad. And the problem is these governors, they're not stepping up to the plate. The liberal governors are in fact stepping back and letting things happen. And my concern is that this is setting a trap. And they're trying to goad Trump into sending in the military, because the minute he sends in the military, then they're going to try to add to their narrative of he's a dictator, and that, anything that happens, like if there's a mishap and the wrong person shoots the wrong person or somebody gets hurt, if the military happens to hurt the wrong person, then the mainstream media will just blow it all out of proportion. And even if that doesn't happen, they can just Jussie Smollett it and they'll just make it up, right? They've done it before. So again, this is what's happening. And if you want to, they do put Trump's tweets down here. And he says, "John Kelly didn't know I was going to fire James Mattis, nor did he have any knowledge of my asking for a letter of resignation. Why would I tell him? He was not in my inner circle, was totally exhausted by the job, and in the end just slinked away in obscurity. They all want to come back for a piece of the limelight." So I just thought these were kind of fun and might be something you want to see. As always, I'll put all the links down below. There's going to be a lot of them, so hang in there, folks. This one is the D.C. Mayor, Muriel Bowser. She criticizes fencing around the White House. That's the people's house. It's a sad commentary that the house and its inhabitants have to be walled off. We should want the White House to be open up for people to be able to access it from all sides. And I added my comment in there saying, let's take all the doors off your house first. But yeah, here she is.
I just had that conversation with some of my team. And I'm one of those people who grew up in Washington, D.C., and has been very accustomed to being able to have access to all of our federal facilities. Going up on the Capitol grounds, you know, our congresswoman had to push back from not allowing slaying on the Capitol, from being able to walk all around the Supreme Court, to walk in front of the White House, on both sides. And now all of that is under threat. I'm also concerned that some of the hardening that they're doing may be not just temporary. And so we would also have to push back from that. So keep in mind that that's the people's house. It's a sad commentary that the House and its inhabitants have to be walled off. I think that's a sad commentary. We should want the White House to be opened up for people to be able to access it from all sides. And I dare say that looking at traffic management permanently is also important.
Did she say inhabitants instead of inhabitants? Oh, she's a weird person. But yeah, so that's what she wants. And you know, there's one thing having the White House accessible so people can tour it and everything. That's really an important thing. But we've got to protect our president too. You can't just say, well, we shouldn't have any walls. We need to have it opened up. It shouldn't be walled off. And then she's trying to paint it so, you know, the fear that Trump is going to become a king in his castle. And that's what I think she's trying to put down there. But anyway, so yeah, that was another one. And then this article is about Mark Esper, who is the defense secretary, and he's sending hundreds of active duty soldiers who had been on standby in the Washington, D.C. area back to their home base after reversing course on such a decision the day before. So he also has spoken out, and he basically says that he thinks it's the wrong idea to send the military out into these different cities to protect them. Okay, so he's on record. Now, he's the defense secretary. So you have to remember that. Well, this guy right here, who is Bryan Dean Wright, and he's a former CIA officer, was on Tucker. Well, you've got, now, the 17th letter of the alphabet posted this link. I had already just queued this up before he posted. So, yeah, I was getting ready. Maybe great minds think alike, right? Well, anyway, listen to this, folks.
But what we have here, I think, more specifically, is a Secretary of Defense who doesn't get it. All right, right now, let's just cut to the chase, Tucker. This country is on fire. We are facing an insurrection by people that we don't quite understand who they are, but by all indications, they are violent leftist thugs. And what Secretary Esper doesn't quite seem to get either is that the nation is panicking. 71% of us want the National Guard in our cities tonight. 58% of us want the military in our cities tonight. All right, the people are panicking. The country is on fire. Now, who is attacking us? Mr. Esper should know this. Right. It's Antifa, Department of Justice, NYPD. Others are saying this very clearly. These are people, by the way, that we faced back in the 1960s and 70s and early 80s. These were people who were far leftist, Marx, Lenin, folks who embraced that ideology. They allied with Black Panther movements, and it took many years to finally put it down. Very dangerous. And now this same group, who is allied, by the way, with the Democratic Socialists, we're talking to Bernie Bros and Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, they're back. They're back with firebombs. They're back with bricks in our suburbs and our downtowns. That's something that Mr. Esper clearly doesn't understand. And then finally, we have a media that is feeding this flame, this horrific fire, this seditiousness. You have brought this up many times, including tonight. Let me read a headline from Slate magazine. Just yesterday, it said the following. Peaceful protests are an important tool, but so is violence. So now we have a media filling the airways full of this crap. Yeah. Put it all together. And the piece that you mentioned, no more police, because we're going to defund those folks. We can't put forward the National Guard because that would be escalation. So now we take off the military from the table. What does that leave, Tucker? Let me tell you what it leaves. vigilante justice.
That's exactly
It's you
right.
and me and everybody watching this program arming ourselves. Is that how we run a republic? No, sir, it is not.
You're
And you do
exactly
not want a
right.
country that goes there. And that is precisely where the nation is headed. And we need for all of our leadership to understand that. And if Secretary Esper doesn't get it, doesn't understand that the oath is to protect ourselves from threats, both foreign and domestic, by God, get the hell out of the Pentagon and let somebody lead who gets it. Because that is the oath that he took, that I took, and that the people of this country demand of our leadership in this moment, because we are on fire. Someone do something about it.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, me neither. I couldn't agree more. Wow, that was awesome. And that really is what needed to be said. So I'm so glad. Like I said, great minds think alike there. I had it all queued up ready to do because I was just getting ready to record when he posted. Then I've got this one to share with you because, oh, this Kayleigh, man, she does such a good job. And she's replying to Jim Acosta here. And you got to hear this one.
Watched a lot of your coverage. I've watched a lot of the nation's coverage, and let's go through some of the things that happen when officers don't defend and protect themselves. In St. Louis, 4 police officers were shot. In Las Vegas, an officer was shot in the head and is on life support. In New York, a cop was beat up by people. In Providence, 4 to 5 police officers and state troopers were injured. And in Ashbury Park, New Jersey, a police officer was injured. Police officers are out on the front lines. They're defending and protecting you as you come into this building each and every day, Jim. We owe them honor, we owe them respect, and when they are under attack, they have the ability to defend themselves. Zeke.
She smacked him down. Oh, she really is doing a good job with this stuff. You know, she doesn't let him get away with anything. And I'll tell you, I would have very little patience with Jim Acosta, Abilio. Yeah, I'd have really trouble talking to him for long. Okay, and then again, the 17th letter of the alphabet posted this. Minneapolis City Council President, Democrat Jeremiah Ellison, claimed they'll dismantle police. And that's really just one article because there's several that are coming out on this. And I think if I remember correctly, I posted a tweet the other day that was about Keith Ellison, this guy's father, who is the AG of Minnesota. I mean, really, what kind of justice are you going to get in that state? And he was carrying, Keith Ellison was carrying a book on Antifa. And this guy supports it. This is his son, and he does support Antifa. So he was out there, and he's not the only one. There's a couple others that their son or daughter have been in trouble in some of these riots going on. But anyway, so this is the first one, and now the calls are starting all throughout. It's like a domino effect, and we're starting to see several different media outlets claiming, they've got people, they'll dismantle the police. Yes, we're going to dismantle the police. We need to dismantle the police. And it's like, yeah, it's not a smart move. I think one time I remember reading a Frank Peretti book, and he was talking about if you imagine a playground, and when we were kids and we went to school and there was a playground, you had the teacher in charge. And, when you went out to play, you might have gotten into little squabbles and stuff, but there were rules and the teacher enforced the rules. And as long as the teacher was there enforcing rules, you did what you were supposed to. Well, imagine taking the teacher away. At first, the kids probably would still abide by the rules because, they would expect the teacher to return at any moment. But then what happens when the teacher doesn't return? Then you've got the kids starting to slowly get away from those rules. Pretty much everybody starts living the way they want, but who's going to be in control? The person who's the strongest and the biggest bully. That's who's going to take over. And that's exactly what would happen in our cities if you get rid of the police. And this is what they're talking about. I really don't understand how any thinking person could want to dismantle the police. I don't understand it. And so please, when you're talking to people, ask them if they think this is a good idea. This is a good talking point to start making conversations with people so they can start to see what is really going on and what these Democrats are supporting, because this is crazy. Dismantling the police? No. Well, this Mayor Bowser is kicking the Utah National Guard out of all D.C. hotels tomorrow. More than 1,200 troops from 10 states are being evicted. This is unacceptable. That's from Mike Lee, Senator Mike Lee. And he had another one, that part 2 of that, and it was this right here, which was, these brave men and women have risked their lives protecting D.C. for 3 days. Rioting, looting, arson, and vandalism have all disappeared because these soldiers served, and now they're being kicked to the curb by an ungrateful mayor. This must be stopped. And so there they are. That's a pretty cool picture. I like that. So, yeah, I mean, crazy stuff. I don't understand. It really is hard for me to comprehend how a mayor who was elected to take care of the people in their city could basically throw them all under the bus. I mean, that's essentially what's happening. And, in my book, if you are given the responsibility of a group of people, then you take that seriously and you put their well-being first. I mean, when I was teaching in my classroom, it didn't matter what was going on with me. It was that I did my job and taught those kids the best I could because I wanted to see them succeed. And I just can't fathom somebody who has been given charge of other people and they just don't care about them. But that's what we're seeing. That's exactly what we're seeing. Well, President Trump has this letter here from respected retired Marine and superstar lawyer John Dowd. Would be of interest to the American people. Read it. Okay, now it's very small, as you can see, and even when you blow it up, it's not real big. And because it's so long, I do have it pulled up in this program, but I'm going to have to kind of go back and forth. As you can see, I don't like using this program because it does weird stuff sometimes to me, and it's a little bit different than the others, but I can still go through it. Jim, and he's referring to Mattis, I slept on your statement and woke up appalled and upset. You lost me. Never dreamed you would let a bunch of hack politicians use your good name and reputation earned with the blood and guts of young Marines. You did what you said you would. Engage in this discourse. Marines keep their word. The phony protesters near Lafayette Park were not peaceful and were not real. They are terrorists using idle, hate-filled students to burn and destroy. They were abusing and disrespecting the police when the police were preparing the area for the 1900 curfew. Jim, this is the new nihilism. See Dan Henninger in the Wall Street Journal today. Marines support the police in harm's way. Did you forget that President Bush used active duty Marines to quell the riots in Los Angeles? President Trump has countless cities and some snowflake governors and mayors wetting themselves in the use of force to protect innocent lives and property. The AG of Massachusetts thinks burning property is good protest. 3 more policemen were stabbed and shot in New York City last night. Think about it. Should he be upset about the obvious failure of leadership? Where are you, Jim? Marines go to the fight. No one divided this country more than Obama. He abandoned our black brothers and sisters. He gave guns to the cartels. He apologized for our precious sacrifice and generosity overseas. You remember, he fired you. President Trump has done more to help our minority brothers and sisters in 3 years than anyone in the last 50. Ask the black pastors. Ask the leaders of the black colleges and universities. He got them funded. Ask them about the prison reform, which ended the draconian sentences imposed on young black men by the laws enacted by Biden and his hacks. You need to bone up on your homework and stop listening to Uncle Leon. I understand you had to stick to the assigned narrative, which did not include 3 years of corrupt investigations and evidence to destroy this president, his office, and his lawful free election. Nancy has no tolerance for dissent in the ranks. Sorry about all the scrolling, including those with stars. You said nothing of the ugly, hate-filled, disgraceful comments of Pelosi, Schumer, Perez, and other Democrat hacks defaming the president and his office. You said nothing of the unlawful sanctuary cities and the unlawful release of hoodlums. You said nothing of the resistance movement to paralyze our courts and our government operations. You said nothing of the obstruction and subversion of our immigration laws. You said nothing of MS-13 killers and the drug cartels who own huge sections of our major cities. Jim, do you think that hateful rhetoric and those corrupt actions were inspiring and unifying? Do you think the DIs at Paris Island would find such behavior as unifying? Maybe your problem is a lot deeper. Perhaps you ought to explain how and why you and John Allen, as CG Central Command, did not engage and take out Iranian Major General Soleimani, who roamed the Middle East and wreaked havoc and death on our American boys with his famous IEDs. Why did it take President Trump to have the instincts and, to take him out, of course, over the objection of the geniuses in the Pentagon? Looks like the Parisian mullahs were a one-horse sleigh, and Trump nailed the horse forever. It has been quiet ever since. Perhaps your anger is born out of embarrassment for your own failure as the leader of Central Command. Did you applaud when the president recognized the central problem in the Middle East? Did you applaud the president when he wanted to save American lives by bringing them home in one piece? And that's where he leaves it and signs it. So it is a good letter, and it really kind of puts things in perspective. I don't know if Jim Mattis will pay attention to it, but I just don't understand why he would turn and decide that's not the route to take. I mean, obviously, Trump is giving every chance to these governors. He's trying to get them to stand up and actually take charge and be leaders, and they're not. That's why I can't help but wonder if they're not trying to set a trap for him, because they know that if he brings in the military, then they can start all these rumors about how he wants to be a dictator or a king or whatever. Well, this was very interesting because this Nicole here says AG Barr threatened to release Antifa communications to show which elites and politicians played a role in coordinating these riots. Now, just for information, this is Nicole. I don't know her. She's not a blue check person, but she does have quite a following there. And Don Jr. sees it and says, just do it. So I hope he does. Well, his dad keeps track of what his son says, and so he retweets him and he says, yes. So I hope that's true. The thing is, on this one, you can't actually see her post, but when you look here, you can see it. And so I really hope that's true, and that Barr actually does have these communications. Now, I also know that Project Veritas did an infiltration of Antifa, and so they're starting to release videos on that. They did release the first one. It was on YouTube for a short period of time, and then it was taken down. So you probably have to go to their actual website. I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but I heard bits and pieces of it on Hannity. So anyway, yes, I hope that's what happens too. All right, and then I wanted to share this with you because this man was a retired police officer and he was killed in the riots while he was trying to protect people's property and everything. And, it's a very sad situation. I think that we need to make sure that we get enough donors and everything that we just kind of blow this number out of the water. This man needs the respect. And by the way, this was set up by Jack Posobiec. So it is, somebody reliable here, even though, Jack, he's not one of my favorite people. But it's like, at least he'll be honest about it. And you can trust that he's going to get the money to the right people. So, anyway, if you've got a few dollars, it might be nice to do this and to give them some really great encouragement and share with them that his life was not lost in vain and that we respect and honor all Black lives, not just the ones that the press wants to point out. So this I thought was very insightful. The media is more outraged that President Trump visited St. John's Church than they are that rioters tried to burn it down. I thought that was very insightful, definitely. Charlie Kirk had this one. If white privilege existed, why did Elizabeth Warren have to lie about being a Native American to get ahead in life? Good question. And then this study shows hydroxy doesn't work. Okay, now look at this though. First, the study was conducted over the internet without patients being seen by study doctors. And patients self-reported their data, and 1 in 5 did not take all their doses. Quite a study, huh? So there's the article on it. But there's a huge trend right now. And I saw that, I think on the CDC website, was it? Or Lancet. That's what it was. And I saw that Lancet, you know, the medical journal thing, they wiped all of their hydroxy articles that they had that were supporting it, and all the, I mean, they had like studies, documented studies from years and years and years ago that it was effective, but they wiped them all. They retracted them all. So, you know, that's really kind of creepy that they can do that. That's our medicine for you, folks. And then this one, yeah, guess what? It's now racist to clean up graffiti. These girls here are cleaning off the graffiti, and the person taking the video starts yelling at them.
Why are you guys removing Black Lives Matter's graffiti?
We're just trying to take care of the graffiti. Yeah, we tried over there and it wasn't coming off. It's still one of those coming off.
But why do you want that to come off?
Well, because this is a federal building. Yeah, it's just care about our country and our city.
But so you don't care about Black Lives then?
Not at all. That's not at all what we're saying.
That's what this...
We certainly do care about Black lives.
Not enough to leave up a message.
We don't disagree with the message, ma'am. It's just on the building. We're just trying to clean it.
Right. Not a great way to use your white privilege, ladies. Not a great... That's disgusting.
No, what's disgusting is that you deface other people's property and, you know, to try to get your message across. And it's counterproductive. It really is. And what's really sad for me is as I was driving through town today, I saw a bunch of people gathered, and a lot of them had signs that said BLM on them. So tomorrow I'm going to try to go out. I couldn't do it today because of everything that was going on, and I've just been kind of swamped trying to keep my head above water with all the information coming out. And so tomorrow I'm going to see if I can maybe get some of them to do an interview with me. We're going to find out what the situation is. I think probably chances are very good that they have no clue what Black Lives Matter is all about. They just don't know. And so they think they're doing something good because they've seen it on TV. So I don't know. I'm hoping to get to them to be able to talk to them. My big question that I'm going to ask them is when, you know, they tell me that it's Black Lives Matter, because they're all going to be white. Okay, I'm going to tell you, the majority of them white. I didn't see one black person there. It could be that they were there and I just didn't notice, but it's a fairly white community around here, so I'm pretty sure the majority of them will be white. And so I'm going to ask them, I'm going to say, well, does your life matter? Because, you see, that puts them in a really awkward position. Because if they say, yes, my life matters, oh, well, then white lives matter too. Then they've got to face it. They've got to say it. Will they? I don't know. Ask them, do Hispanic lives matter? You know, you just got to kind of corner them like that. And I think sometimes we get further in discussions if we can ask questions that kind of box them in and put them in a corner where they have to look at what they actually believe. Because the majority of the people that are doing protests like this and are on the left, they really have not thought it through. And they, like I said, they don't understand what Black Lives Matter is really about, and that it's actually using the black community as pawns to further their own agenda. So But anyway, yeah, so that's now racist, to clean up graffiti. And then this was posted by our 17th letter of the alphabet, I believe, or maybe it was President Trump. I can't remember where I got this one. And so I just cannot believe that anybody can watch this and still want to vote for Joe Biden. The man can't put sentences together.
7 women accuse you of touching them without their permission. Are you sorry for what you did? Are you prepared to apologize to those women?
Look, here's the deal. I am so, like, for example, I actually thought in my head when I walked out here. I mean, do I...
I know,
we're friends.
It's tricky.
No, but I should be able to read better, but I have never in my life done...
He said I should be able to read better? Okay, what's he talking off of a teleprompter or something there? I'm sorry for the interruption.
Done anything in approaching a woman that has been, other than trying to bring solace. I'm used to, like one of your staff was, I'm used to, I think it's really important we listen. Whether I sit down...
You see these faces of these women? They're like, what is this?
next to somebody and is not invited to sit down. So that's my responsibility. I have to be more aware, and it's totally legitimate. But anyway, I think it's legitimate, and I think it is, and to anyone. But I don't think anyone's ever said.
But they have also said we'd like an apology.
Well, look, I'm really sorry if they.
Nancy Pelosi wants you to say, "I'm sorry that I invaded your space."
Sorry, I invaded your space. I mean, I'm sorry this happened, but I'm not sorry in the sense that, look, I was. Anyway.
Well, here's your opportunity right now to just say you apologize, you're sorry. I think we can clean this up right now.
Well, by the way, I did. I understand.
Right. Yeah.
We haven't. There's so much more work to do to figure out how. The one important thing I know. Well, I tell you what the deal was. I did not. What I didn't want to do, and I.
Okay, I got to stop it there. I've just had enough, okay? This guy he can't even put together sentences, coherent sentences. Oh my gosh, he doesn't even have enough brain up there anymore. It's not all connecting like it should. I don't understand, and boy, he never once said he was sorry, did he? He just would not say it. And when he did start, he even used the word sorry, and he said, I'm sorry that, she or that you. He puts the blame on the person, on the other people. It's your fault that, you think that I'm too close and I'm invading your space. Well, too bad for you. Suck it up. I'm not doing that. He's a very arrogant man. I'm telling you. Wow. And the stuttering. Holy schmoly, I just can't even believe that. And people want to vote for him. Well, this is Mark Levin's little note. It's from a Facebook thing. I hope it works out okay and you can see it. But, Biden has demonstrated once and for all that he is unfit to be president of the United States. Joe Biden has barely mentioned, let alone condemned, the looting, arson, and rioting in our cities. He has said nothing about the police officers maimed and murdered. He has said nothing about the innocent citizens beaten and killed by the rioters. He has said nothing about the small businesses destroyed. He has said nothing about the long-term damage being inflicted on inner-city neighborhoods. And he has absolutely no prescription for putting down the violence and insurrection in these Democrat-run cities and states. After all, he barely even acknowledges the riots, fearful that it might harm his presidential ambitions. Biden is AWOL and incapable of protecting and defending the people of this country, their neighborhoods, and their communities. And while he talks about systemic racism, tearing down our country, our people, and our institutions as racist, apparently after nearly 50 years in public office, he did nothing effective about it. How can you be president of a people and a nation you defame as systemically racist and unworthy of presidential protection and defense? We the people are a great people who fought a civil war and world wars for freedom and humanity. We the people are a charitable people who volunteer and commit our own resources to helping our fellow man like no other people in the world. We the people are an ingenious people who've invented and created technologies, medicines, and products that improve the health and save the lives of untold millions. Indeed, the list is infinite. Yet, Biden has adopted the language and positions of those who despise this great nation and its great people. He rips at the nation's fabric while claiming to want to unite us. Biden is an opportunist and always has been. This is his third or fourth run for the presidency. He has nothing to offer the American people, but he seems to think that by constantly trying to undermine President Trump at every turn and smearing the very people he claims to want to represent, he can finally claw his way into the Oval Office. Biden is simply not worthy of being the President of the United States. He's just another old, burned out, self-serving Washington politician, a fool and a fraud. And this is on Facebook, so it's very likely that you'll have to be logged in to see it, but I'll put the link down below. If you are on Facebook, though, this would be a really good one to share, okay? And so we're getting close to the end here. I wanted to point this out to you because guess what? The Treasury, IRS, announced delivery of 159 million economic impact payments. And they have them all out, and they are worth more than $267 billion. And they've been distributed to Americans in 2 months. That's what they did. And it's really kind of interesting because before, the last time a similar effort was undertaken, it took over 2 months to make 800,000 payments. And so that's 800,000, and this is 159 million. So quite a difference there, and it took them 2 months just to do this many. So I think they did a pretty good job there. Sounds to me like they did. I thought it came out pretty well, and they, got them out very fast. Thought that was an interesting little article there, that they had accomplished that in such a short period of time. And I just want to give you the link to this. Now, if you go to Facebook, it is another Facebook thing, but I'm not logged in right now. I logged out and brought it up. I wanted to show you that, yes, you should be able to access it without being on Facebook. And this is a video by a church that is saying, this pastor is saying that he has people who have been telling him that there are a bunch of witches and underground type things going on, occult activities, and they've been calling for everyone to get together and to put a spell or hex or whatever on President Trump on June 5th, which is when you should be seeing this. I hope it's going to come out late. So you can still pray, though, and continue keeping President Trump in prayer, because I think it's really important for us to understand that. I'm not going to play it because there's music in there and I don't want to get a copyright strike. So let me just give you the link down below, and you can watch it on your own if you want to. So yeah, lots of stuff happening, and it's almost like information overload. I'm just kind of trying to keep my head above water, keeping track of everything. And I know I said I was going to do some on Rod Rosenstein, but I need to take a little more time on that. And I was so caught up in everything else that was happening today. And I played on Facebook a little bit more, because I'll tell you, I went to the FBI site, and you can do a search there for locations, like for the FBI office closest to you. You can find out what kind of indictments they're putting up. And one of them was for somebody who, in Indiana, who was caught making bombs and stuff for these protests. And another one was with firearms, and lots of CP out there. Child, you know what. So lots of that kind of stuff, lots of arrests for it. And it was very interesting how, instead of telling my friends on Facebook, the different things that the 17th letter of the alphabet have said, all I did was post these indictments, and all of a sudden people are going, wow, there just seems to be so many that are involved in CP. And it's like, yes, there are, and here's the reason. So it really opened doors for me to talk to a lot of people, and so I guess I spent a little more time doing that than some of the other stuff. That's the problem with Facebook or Twitter or any of these social media sites. They do tend to eat up your time, and it's hard to get a lot of other stuff done when you're doing that. But I know I've got a ton of these links to put down below for you. But there were just so many different things that I wanted to share with you, and I thought they'd be kind of good to see, because a lot of what we're dealing with right now is an information warfare, where we're having people that are starting to see the cracks in the mainstream media, and they're, in that iffy in-between stage. They haven't necessarily woken up completely, so they still need to have some things pointed out to them. But a lot of them are starting to question things and question the narratives, because what they're seeing doesn't always make sense. And if you get people that actually have some common sense, you can usually talk to them about it, especially when it comes to, why would any sane person want to dismantle the police? Why would governors not send in the National Guard to protect their own people and the businesses and everything in that area? Why? Why are a lot of these Democrats supporting this? And they're saying it's okay to be violent. Why? And it's like, again, with the Black Lives Matter, the question to ask if the person saying it is white, does your life matter? So see, there are ways to get around it, and if we can put those little hints in there, it can really make a difference in how people view the situation, and that's what we need right now. We need more people to wake up. So make sure you pray on the evening of the 5th, because it is one of their high holiday type things, and they tend to do these special spells and stuff at that time. So that's what I've got for you on this one. I want to thank you for stopping by, and I'll see y'all later.